Mother of God.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mag Dump Podcast. I'm Daniel, and here we go. This is the first episode. This is the first episode of the Mag Dump Podcast, and I feel like we're going to ease into this podcast together as a community. And for those of you guys that don't know who I am or who we are as our community here grows, right? I've been on YouTube for the past 4 years as like a full-time job, right? With ETS 21, Embrace the Suck 21, Embrace the Globe 21, as well as my other channels, Arius in the Nation, Wrecked Nation on YouTube, Stories to the Nation, and Arius Nation, which is like the music side of things, which is a pretty fun channel to be on. We just generate tunes and stuff, right? So the whole purpose of the Mag Dump Podcast and the outlook of what I want this podcast to be is going to be addressing issues, hot topic issues, things that normally we would have to dance around on YouTube. Everyone knows, like, certain content creators, like if you're firing on all cylinders, like, you really have to be careful about what you say, how you say it, and who you might offend, which is a terrible reality of it all, because, you kind of want to do your part and make it individualistic. Like, you want to bring your piece to the overall, let's say, channel. In my case, I was next to my buddy Spencer Joyce, and, with the tiny little bit of success that we did have as a channel, we knew that there were certain things we could say, there were certain things we wanted to stay clear from. Where, let's say, I know that I'm very opinionated and so is he, but we didn't bring that to the forefront as we were building a footprint, as we were building something. We didn't want to be, let's say, divisive and split the middle of the audience. We had to pick and choose what we had to say. And with the recent attacks on Wreck Nation on YouTube, let's just be honest, getting shadow banned, and hear me out on this. It's not like a conspiracy that we got shadow banned. They were pretty much holding our live streams for review, and when that happens, you're shadow banned. You piss someone off, or you're on the radar, right? So we have to choose our words wisely on YouTube. Right. But here on Rumble, guys, this is a free-flowing podcast. Say what we say. We're going to tackle tough topics. And, this is where it is. I am not the professional at debating some of these topics. I have my opinions on a lot of things. In my journey, my life has led up to me building my opinions on certain topics, right? Whether they be popular opinions or not, it's my opinions. And the good thing with opinions is if you approach certain topics with an open mind, right? If you can allow healthy discourse, opinions not necessarily can be changed, but it's just like you have to see where the other person is coming from, or someone that's necessarily not lining up with your opinions, correct? And so that's what I want to bring to this podcast, where it's a table for all. And I feel like lately in this landscape, we've forgotten how to talk and have it be okay to agree to disagree. My politics, my ideas are going to be a lot different than other people's ideas. And that doesn't mean that their ideas are terrible. Like, no, I feel like their journey, their path has led them to make their decisions and their beliefs. And it's just like, who am I to judge that path? I'm no one. So what happens is on this podcast, we're going to be doing a lot of community engagement. Like, what I want to do is I want to put up the email address. It's going to be right here or right here. And you guys can feel free to email the channel, and we'll start that way, where it's just a lot of give and take, certain questions, certain topics. And I think that's a great way to free flow some things here on the channel. Mostly I'm going to be ranting. I'm going to be ranting about who knows everything and anything. Okay, anything and everything. Right now, I just witnessed. I wouldn't say my team, right? Because they are the Commanders, the NFL team, the football team, American football team. Ever since they switched their names from the Redskins, the Washington Redskins, to the Commanders, I took my hat out of the ring. I was just like, you know what, whatever. I can't get behind them. They have to earn my fanship back, but they just suffered a crippling loss, like a terrible loss. And I watched that. One of the few games I was able to watch with my family, and I was just like, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Watching them just taking a beating, right? But yeah, no, all of this to say that I'm going to be leaning heavily on you guys. You know, we build this podcast together, and eventually we will have co-anchors on this, like a revolving door of different guests on this podcast, talking about different topics, just whatever. You know, you guys that follow Arius in the Nation know how the talks go. They're, you know, very limited structure, but we can talk about anything. And I feel like this space will be our space. It will be a safe, I hate saying a safe space. I hate saying that, but for different opinions to thrive. Like we can have different opinions. We don't have to get into yelling matches and arguments, you know. And I feel like this is probably leading up to one of the most important things out there, is having a space where healthy discourse can reside. You can drop the aggression a little bit here at this table, and we can just talk. We can just talk about things, you know, because I feel like that's very important. How will we learn anyone's opinions or maybe even approach things with an open mind if you come with your opinions swinging and forced in people's faces? So no, I will give you my opinions on certain things that are happening. You guys can email questions to the email address that was flashed in front of the screen. But yeah, no, pretty much, guys. Listen, I've taken a full-time job after doing, I guess you would say, content creation. I don't know. It's tough. A lot of the channels that I run are reaction based, video reactions. And I've gotten, oh my God, I get so many comments. On what you're doing is stealing content, you know, repurposing other people's content. And I can see that side. I can see that viewpoint of things. I can 100% see that, how someone can jump to that, right? To say that, right? Because remember, I'm of the age where I don't like technology. I never got this. I never understood this. Reactions just sort of happened in my life. Like, we were doing a fitness channel, right? That was the start of Embrace the Suck 21, and it morphed into a reaction channel. And so because of the reaction channel and the music reaction channels, I got to see that, like, behind the scenes stuff. And it's pretty interesting. YouTube as a whole is pretty nuts. Different algorithms that it chooses to put in front of you, you know, where how it chooses brain rot over substance 90% of the time, you know, or how it doesn't like to take you away from the platform that is YouTube, right? And I understand that as a business, you want that. You want people to stay on your site, right? That's how you make money. I get that, you know, and I feel like with my very unique side of things, where I've done the reactions, I've done music reactions, you know, we've had a little bit of luck with all the interviews we've had over on Arius in the Nation, you know, that we have enough here, especially with my life experiences so far, you know, to bring to a podcast. And I think it would be interesting. You know, I don't know how you guys approach podcasts. I don't know how you guys approach podcasts, like how you guys listen to podcasts. When do you listen to your podcast that you choose to listen to? That's something for the comment section. I would love to see the comments. When do you guys listen to podcasts? Is it in the morning? Is it like a morning commute? Is it at the end of the day? Or do you try to fit a podcast in before your tea time or break time at work? You know, we'll have to figure that out too. So all of this saying, you know, after 4 years of being on the internet, having my face everywhere in every video, on every corner of the internet, going back into the job force, going back to a 9 to 5. Which is terrifying but exhilarating at the same time. I chose to go back to the 9 to 5 because of straight up stability, not just for myself but for my family. To help support the household. That is just my duty as a father and a husband. So we can find a way to do this. Probably we can try to shoot for once a month, or until we have something to talk about. I don't want to just start something and leave it started and never finish it. No, we're gonna see this thing through, but we're gonna see this thing through together as a team, as a channel, as a community. I feel like there's a space here for us where we can ask questions, we can talk about things, and not be so up in arms about certain things. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, especially here in the U.S. It's interesting with this whole. Let me just break the ice and just dive in. Right, I am so enthralled of what's happening currently right now with these, let's say, these mass deportations. Right, let me just go into it. Right, because being Hispanic, I know both sides of this. I know both sides of this aisle, right? I can see both sides of this aisle, and it's pretty interesting to see this world, like when you zoom in a little bit, just being ripped apart, and a lot of misinformation going around everywhere. And I don't have all the answers, It's just I'm looking at the news and I'm watching everything happen, And I'm for me, let's just get off the bat. I'm all for stricter borders, right? I'm all for that. I'm all 100% for that. And legal immigration for sure, all day. And especially my household that deals with this topic. Let me just put it lightly, right? This topic of ICE agents and stuff like that. That hits close to home. so it's interesting because I get to see both sides of certain things, right? And we can talk about that too. We can talk about that too if you guys want to. There's so many different topics that we can touch on, that I want to touch on, that I have my opinions on, and there's always never a lack of global conflict all around the world. I feel like we're a step away from everything burning down, right? It is, and it's tough. It's tough for me to sit here, right? I am a father to a 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old son, and seeing the world in the state that it is right now. It's a scary place, to be raising a child in this madness. But it's not like it can't be done. It can be done. The generations before us raised good men and women in much worse circumstances. So it can be done. It's not impossible. So that's like the bar that is set by previous generations, right? So I have to do my best, navigate these deadfalls per se, and get that, and at least be able to raise a good man in all of this going on, all of this to say we have a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. And a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about can't even exist on YouTube. And that's the biggest problem. Like, this is where my issue comes from. Is, look, I wish this whole podcast could exist on a space like YouTube, because that reaches more people. 100%. Everyone's more familiar with YouTube. But I feel like what we are going to get into and what we have to say about certain things, it just doesn't belong. Not that it doesn't belong, but it's at risk of being shut down on YouTube, right? Even if it is opinionated. Even if it is my opinion against the masses, right? It's not safe for that type of stuff yet out there on YouTube. Has it ever been? Who knows? Is Rumble the spot for us so far right now? Perhaps. I only have questions. We've we've dove down a lot of rabbit holes, and we've tried to go down different journeys on YouTube via reactions, via I guess original type content. And it's interesting because it brings us to this. I always wanted to rant. I always wanted to bring people on that I know that feel kind of similar or have a different take on some things, right? That we can learn together, about things. And I feel like we can have this space to have discourse. All this talk brings me to ask you guys, listen, do we do this? Do we jump? Do we continue this journey? Do we full force into this? I have to learn my schedule with my current employment position, because right now I'm going to be in the training phase of employment. So my schedule is going to be very sporadic, right? And we have certain journeys that we do have to get to. I told everyone on the different communities that we will be finishing journeys that we started, right? But I needed to get the first episode of the Mag Dump podcast out. And pretty much anything goes here. Anything you guys want to talk about, hell yes. And what I'll do is I'll flash a graphic of the question. If you guys want to remain anonymous, be like, don't use my name, whatever, I can just say we got a question from a subscriber or whatever, and we can just go from there. We can just let it rip. I think that's a good way to do things, right? So anyway, guys, listen, all that being said, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to get into it. I love that we can have a space here on Rumble doing this. I might even post this to the Rec Nation on YouTube as our first kind of peek at the Mag Dump podcast, just to bring people over to the Mag Dump podcast and what we're going to be doing. But it's not just going to be me sitting and talking to the camera. We're going to bring in other people eventually as I line them up, because I know a lot of people that would love to put their 2 cents in, and that's eventually we're going to grow into this podcast as a community, and I think it's going to be good. So there's a couple things that I need from you guys. Let me know in the comment section, when do you guys listen to podcasts? What kind of podcasts do you guys listen to? Who are you listening to? And why? And if you do have a topic of discussion, make sure you email us. Okay, that's I'm going to say before I'll have it again. I'll be flashing the email up at the top here, okay? But anyway, guys, that's a little bit about myself, where I'm coming from, and what we're doing and where we're going. And I feel like the first episode of anything, the pilot episode, is very important to set up where we're going. And I feel like we do a good job in the community of letting everyone know what we're doing as we do it. As different difficulties arise or different hiccups arise, I'm very vocal about what's going on, so I'm not leaving everyone in the dark. Like this past beginning of the year, has been nuts, right? My channel, Aries in the Nation, was deleted. Not deleted. Well, I thought it was deleted. I thought it was completely gone from YouTube. We left YouTube. I woke up one day and our channel that had like 24,000 subscribers, right, was disappeared. Absolutely gone. And I had all the videos, like 1.6 thousand videos, 1,600 videos, right, up on that channel. Gone. Don't know what happened. It was a glitch. It turned out to be a glitch. But for that week, for that week that we were off YouTube, we lost 3,000 subscribers, and all of our videos were privated and pretty much dead in the water. And I don't like that. I think it's an unfortunate glitch that could have happened to literally anyone, but I feel very terrible that glitch could happen to, let's say, a creator that is budgeting or banking on his AdSense or revenue, right, for that month, and supporting his family with that, because that really crippled the channel, that kneecapped the channel. So that shook my confidence in all these types of video platform websites, like Rumble or YouTube, and it shook my confidence, and it really pushed the brakes on creating more. It really put, it's kind of like, am I just going to keep throwing time at this thing and eventually just making it disappear, or it could disappear at any second, and it's just very fickle. It's very fickle. So anyway, that was just what happened this year. The beginning of this year for me personally has been absolutely insanely weird. It's like I had goals going into like the 2nd of January, and it's just like this year has hit every branch, and it's still January. so it's pretty crazy, guys. But listen, we have a lot of stuff that we're going to be tackling, a lot of things. I want this to be a full effect, full form podcast, where we can get into talking about anything. I feel like nothing should be off limits, especially when you're expressing your opinion. I feel like everyone can have their opinion on things, right? So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. I'm really looking forward to the comment sections of hearing back from you guys, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, and also before I go, why did I call it the Mag Dump Podcast? Well, this is kind of like an all-in. This is a mag dump. You unload the magazine, pretty much. You're just like unloading. You're going all in, kind of thing. This is that moment. This is that podcast. We're just all in, no holds barred, kind of thing, right? And we can talk about anything, like all the struggles I'm facing, just trying to be a good father and raise a good son in this insane world right now. I don't know how many of you guys out there are fathers that could relate to this struggle. And I'm looking forward to hearing some advice from some of the fathers in our community. There's a lot of things that we can talk about, that we will talk about. And I hope you guys are here for it. I hope you guys enjoy the ride. It's going to be one hell of a ride, to say the least. And this is one of the things that I'm the most proud of, is starting this podcast. I don't know if this is going to be received well, or if you guys are going to be here for it. But I'm so proud of this. This is our original content. This is our original voices. This is your voices too. As you guys send in questions and comments, I want this to be an us thing, community and me and whoever's I invite on the channel as a guest, as a co-host. And there will be some. I know my brother Av. I'm reaching out to him to be on it. Hopefully Old School Nerd will be on it. I think we have some stuff to talk about. It'll be good. It'll be good. And maybe, some other guests that I've actually had on Aries in the Nation. I've told about this. And I think this is a great space. I think this is a great space to do it. So anyway, guys, unplug. Do something legendary. Right? Do something legendary. That's the simple messaging. Unplug, do something legendary, and I will see you all in the next podcast, and I cannot wait to hear back from you guys. All right, guys. Much love. Later.